Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 1571, written by Shoenbreaker, a quirky twist, the Baffling Badminton incident. When I was 12, my family and I were at my dad's friend's house in Arizona for some form of party. Out back they had a pool, a badminton court, and a large patio. They were pretty affluent, and was a really nice place with a lot of embedded lighting, which is somewhat important. Anyway, I was playing badminton with someone there for a while, mostly just screwing around and trying to see who could hit the shuttle harder. On one upswing, I caught it with considerable force and launched it nearly vertical. We waited for a sec, but it never came back down. We looked around, and being that there were lots of people, good lighting, and not much shrubbery around, it was odd that no one found it. We gave up looking and went about meandering the party. Fast forward about 45 minutes. And the person I was playing with and I were chilling next to the pool, when there was a sploosh in the water. There was no one in the pool, and no one doing anything odd or throwing anything. We looked in the pool, and there was a shuttle, just chilling. We made sure no one threw it or had seen it since we looked for it the first time. It was pretty bewildering at the time, and I still wonder, where did it go for that span of time? Case file 1571. A quirky twist, the Baffling Badminton incident. So if no one was looking at the shuttle while it was far up in the air from a powerful thrust, then I suppose it must have de-rendered. But the catalyst isn't explained. Why did it de-render? Which is very uncommon for things to do, in the grand scheme of things. And then re-render 45 minutes later. Why exactly at that moment? Did someone choose it? I mean, that's really the question, isn't it? Is this all complete chaos and randomness, or did some will choose this? What is more scary? I don't know. Case file number 1572, written by JFSOCC, The Boy from Dreams in France. When I was younger, me and my family used to go to the south of France for the holidays. My mom and dad had one of those tents that folds out of a cart thingy. During one of the nights sleeping there, I had a weird dream. I saw a boy, a little bit older than me, looking at me with intense fear, and he started howling in a weird way, all the while reaching out towards me. I saw the surroundings clearly as well. Freaky dream. I woke up, told my father, just had a bad dream. Moving to the next day. My dad had a tendency to take me on adventures, long walks enjoying the surrounding countryside that inevitably ended up in a place where you could have lunch, and that day was no different, except my mother went along. Oh yeah, I forgot, I was on a bicycle during my dream, on the back. So because my mother went along, and her constitution wasn't the same as mine or my father's, we took our bikes. We only had space for 2 bikes, I think, because I recall having a bike, but not with me. After a long walk, we got to this hill, and I was tired enough to take the back seat off my mother's bike, when all of a sudden, I recognize where we are, and there is that damn boy looking at me with that intense look, reaching out to me and howling weirdly. His mother rushed out, started talking with my mother. Years later, I learned that the boy was autistic, and wasn't allowed to ride bicycles because of the dangers, but really wanted to. He wasn't fearfully reaching out to me, but longingly to the bike. But it had all gone exactly like I dreamt. I know I haven't mixed the order of the dream and the event, because my dad confirmed it for me that I had the dream before we came across the autistic boy. I've had some other weird stuff happen, not much, but this is my biggest glitch in the Matrix story. Case file 1572, The Boy from Dreams and France. I just get chills when reading stories about predicting the future, especially in dream format. Though yes, it's often in ways that don't provide context. So there was one story where the man was tumbling over in a field. The colors were muted, people were running at him weirdly, but it turns out the field was just rough to run on, and the people running towards him, they were trying to help him, but they sounded weird because they were running and grunting and all that. But there was no malicious intent. Often I think our minds, our subconscious, kind of infuse malicious intent or negativity into our perception of the future, or it could just be random nightmares, even if they're not trying to tell you the future. Sadly, a lot of people tend to be stuck in that rut of negativity. Do you typically have nightmares? I'm lucky. I almost never have nightmares. I do have strange dreams sometimes, if I remember them, which is rare. I think I had 1 nightmare in my whole life, at least that I remember. So I'm very lucky in that regard. Bonus file, written by Jemstar, When Spirits Speak Across Generations. Brief backstory. My grandmother was a teacher. For several years, she taught at the school I went to. This was grade school. She had a coworker, we'll call her Suzanne, who was a fairly new teacher when my grandmother was getting towards retirement age. Many years later, I worked for an American Corps program whose members basically served as teachers' aides in area schools. Turns out Suzanne was still teaching and working at the school where I was placed. This is relevant, I promise. Shortly before I was due to start working there, the principal of the school took me around to introduce me to the teachers. Suzanne remembered me and asked how my grandfather was doing. I guess she still kept in touch with my grandmother occasionally. And at that point, my grandfather was near the end of his life and in hospice care. My grandpa passed away later that week. Weird crap began happening, but that's not the most relevant thing here. It's important to mention that my mom and one of her sisters have this sort of psychic thing going on. Not reading thoughts or anything, but just crap with spirits. I don't know how exactly to describe it because I'm a muggle. Fast forward to a few months later. One morning, an email went out from the principal notifying everyone that Suzanne would be out for a while because her mother had passed away overnight. My grandmother was out of town, and I gave her a call to let her know, in case she would want to send a card. A few minutes later, I got a call from my mom asking me what time Suzanne's mom died. I have no idea why she thought I would know that, and I asked why she wanted to know. Turns out that sometime in the wee hours of the morning, my grandpa had come to my mom trying to communicate some sort of message to her that she was supposed to let someone know, that someone was with him, that it was a woman, and that she was okay. My mom had been confused since she'd been trying to sleep, so she was trying to tell him to go bother my aunt, who was on the other coast 3 hours behind us and probably still awake. I guess he did, and in the morning, my aunt had called my mom about it. Neither of them knew anyone who'd been sick or dying or anything, so they were mystified. I guess she just talked to my grandma and put enough together to solve the mystery. My mom told me all of this, and I literally fell on the floor wondering what the hell is wrong with my family that this weird crap happens. Had David After Dentist existed at this point? I would have summed it up with an, is this real life? Case notes of the bonus file, when spirits speak across generations. So perhaps when you die and all other copies of you in all other multiverse universes are exhausted, they're all dead too. Then you're on your last life and you lose that life. Maybe then you enter into the ethereal spiritual realm. Like a ghost, I suppose. And in that place, reality isn't exactly linear. And there Grandpa was. Part of him anyways. Trying to pass on a message from, let's say, a fellow traveler. And really, isn't that what we'd all want? If we died, we were on our last life and we were really passing on to whatever's next. Wouldn't the first and only thing you really want to do in this mortal coil is make sure that people who cared about you know you're still around in some form? I think that gives closure to a certain extent. Yeah. That's what I would want to do. And play pranks if I was stuck here. That's what I would do for fun. What else are you going to do? Now time for the joke of the day. A man tells his wife he will be working from home today. Maybe on our lunch break we could have a quickie. It's pronounced quiche. Wasn't talking about food. Oh my. That's a naughty one.